Strike low, strike high, step behind the opponent and bring him down. Here it is from the side. Meet the opponent's low strike with a low strike. Notice the right hand coming up and over the head. The hips swivel as the right hand comes up to strike the face. When the opponent goes to block the right hand grasps the opponent's wrist and begins to pull downwards. Notice the left hand is coming up the far side of the body. The left foot steps through and behind the opponent. The right hand pulls the opponent's hand over the body. The left hand pushes the opponent's left hand across the body. The opponent is sent over the leg. Strike low, strike high, torque the opponent's wrist, step behind, bring the opponent down. Here it is again. Low strike, spin the body, downward strike, bring the opponent down. Here it is from the side. Strike low, luring the opponent's hands down. Suddenly offering no resistance to the opponent's low block. The body spins, keeping the back as close to the opponent as possible. As the body turns around, the left hand downward strikes the opponent. Demonstrated here is a less dangerous strike to the crotch. The more dangerous variation starts at the navel and pushes the intestines down and out of the anus. Continuing the spin, the right hand grasps the shoulder. The left leg steps beyond the opponent. The opponent is brought over the leg and to the ground. Strike low, spin the body, downward strike, reach around, step across, bring the opponent over the leg. Here it is again. Meet the opponent's hand, grasp the arm, and pull him off balance. Here it is from the side. Lean forward to meet the opponent's attack. Notice the right hand already moving. The left hand rolls to grab the opponent's wrist. The right hand comes over and grabs the opponent's arm. Pull the opponent backwards. The hips swivel so the body is facing the other way and the opponent is pulled off balance. Lean forward into the opponent's attack, grasp and lock his arm, and pull it backwards and the opponent to the floor. Here it is again. Meet the opponent, wrap around the arm, carry the wrist and the opponent to the floor. Here it is from the side. Meet the opponent's hand. The left hand rolls underneath the opponent's attack and wraps around the opponent's arm. The right hand grasps the opponent's right wrist. The left leg steps through and the opponent's arms are taken over the head and towards the floor. Meet the opponent's attack, wrap around the arm, grasp the wrist, step through and pull the opponent to the floor. Here it is again. Downward strike the opponent, lean into the opponent, step through, and bring him down. Here it is from the side. Downward strike the opponent. Follow with a shoulder strike, leaning into the opponent. The right foot steps through, and both hands grasp the opponent's arm. The opponent is brought around and over the leg. Downward strike the opponent. Lean into the opponent, bring the right shoulder across, step through, grasp the opponent's arm, bring him to the floor. Here it is again. Downward strike the opponent, sweep the arm, collide into the chest, and send the opponent to the ground. Here it is from the side. Downward strike the opponent. The right arm comes up and over the opponent's arm. The right hand sweeps the opponent's arm out to the side. The left shoulder strikes the opponent. The opponent is knocked over the leg and to the floor. Downward strike the opponent. The right hand sweeps the opponent's arm away. The left shoulder collides into the opponent. The left foot steps beyond the opponent and knocks him to the ground. Here it is again. Feint a strike, duck under the opponent, and knock him to the floor. Here it is from the side. This strike involves completely confusing the opponent. Make as if to strike the opponent. Offer no force upon contact, though, ducking under the opponent's counter lunge. Collide into the side of the opponent, knocking the opponent to the floor. Feint a downward strike, duck underneath the opponent, and check the opponent to the floor. Here it is again. Meet the opponent and then pull him to the floor. Here it is from the side. Downward strike the opponent. The left hand rolls to grab the wrist. The right hand comes up and grabs the upper arm just above the elbow. Notice the switch in the hips. In a circular motion created by the pivoting of the hips, pull the opponent down and around. Step back while continuing to rotate the opponent to the floor. The opponent is torqued around face first into the floor. Downward strike and then grasp the opponent's arm, rotating in a circle so the body follows it around to the floor. Here it is again. The dragon pushing hand strike. Push the opponent's wrist, the opponent's elbow, grasp the arm, pull the opponent down. Here it is from the side. Meet the opponent's hand. The left hand rotates clockwise so it has a firm grasp of the opponent's arm. Notice the right hand already coming up towards the opponent's elbow. The right foot steps in as the left hand pushes the opponent's forearm and the right hand pushes the opponent's elbow and upper arm towards the opponent's body. The left foot comes in as both hands push the opponent's arm around and very close to his body. The right foot steps back as the right hand goes from pushing the elbow to pulling the elbow down and around. The down and around rotation continues as the opponent is thrown off balance. Meet the opponent's arm. The left hand palm swivels. The right hand comes up to push the opponent's elbow. The opponent's arm is pushed close to his body, then step back. Right hand goes from pushing the elbow to pulling, and the opponent is rotated to the floor. Here it is again. Meet the opponent's arm. Grasp the wrist, grasp the elbow, rotate the arm down. Here it is from the side. Meet the opponent's hand. Rotate the arm so the hand grasps the opponent's forearm just above the wrist, thumb down. Notice how he's lifting the opponent's arm slightly upwards. The right hand comes up to support the opponent's elbow. The opponent's arm is carried forward and rotated down as the left leg steps through in front of the opponent. The opponent is brought over the leg and to the floor. The opponent is trapped on the ground, arm extended, joints torqued. Meet the opponent's arm. Grasp the wrist, lift the elbow, pull the opponent's arm out and down, bringing the opponent over the leg and trapping him to the floor. Here it is again. Meet and carry the opponent's arm across his body, tripping him over the left leg. Here it is from the side. Meet the opponent's hand. The right hand rolls over to grab the wrist. Notice the left hand starting to come up. The left hand comes up to support the opponent's elbow. The left foot steps through. The opponent's arm is beginning to be carried around the body. The opponent's arm is fully carried around his body. The left leg steps beyond the opponent. The opponent is brought over the left leg. Meet the opponent's arm. Grasp his wrist, grasp his elbow. Step through as the opponent's arm is carried across and over the left leg. Here it is again. Meet the opponent's arm, grasp his wrist, lead the opponent to the floor. Here it is from the side. Meet the opponent's hand. The left hand rolls over, grasps the opponent's wrist, and slightly lifts it up. The right hand comes to join the left hand. The right hand joins the left hand to lead the opponent's wrist out and down as the right foot steps in front of the opponent. The opponent is then led down and around in a circle to the floor. The opponent is trapped to the floor, arm fully extended, wrist joint torqued. Meet the opponent's arm. The left and then right hand grasps the opponent's wrist and leads it out and down, the opponent around and to the floor. Here it is again. Push the opponent's arm down, step under the attack, push the opponent over the leg. Here it is from the side. Meet the opponent's hand. Move the opponent's arm forcibly down. Step under the opponent's attack, the left hand coming up underneath the arm on the armpit and the right hand moving to the side of the body. Continuing to sweep the opponent's arm away, the right hand presses upon points on the side of the body and the left leg hooks the opponent's leg. Torquing the opponent's body down into the ground. Meet the opponent. Move his arm down, step under the attack, and press his body down and around the leg. Here it is again. Trap the opponent's arm, step behind the opponent, knock him over the thigh. Here it is from the side. Meet and seize the opponent's wrist as one motion. The right hand having already trapped the opponent's right hand, the left arm slides in so the left hand can trap the opponent's left hand. Stepping behind the opponent, the left hand reaches across to the hip to fully trap the opponent. The opponent is sent over the thigh. Meet and trap the opponent as one move. Step behind the opponent while trapping his other arm to the body and sending him over the thigh. Here it is again. Press down, strike the chest, then rotate the opponent over the leg. Here it is from the side. Both hands meet the opponent's attack, the right hand holding the opponent's forearm. The right hand arcs the opponent's arm down and out while the left hand strikes the chest. The left and right hand seize the opponent's right arm counter and begin to torque the joints. The left leg steps through. The opponent is sent over the left leg. Meet and hold down the opponent's arm, strike the chest, rotate the opponent's arms up and over, bring the opponent's body over the leg. Here it is again. Sever the force of the opponent's attack, come underneath the shoulder, send the opponent down over the leg. Here it is from the side. Meet the opponent's hand. Sever the force of the opponent's attack by chopping down and pulling slightly away. The left leg steps forward, the left arm comes underneath the opponent's armpit. ribs. The right fingers press into points along the soft ribs and waist. The opponent is sent down over the left leg. Meet and sever the force of the opponent's attack. Step underneath the opponent's armpit, press into the ribs to send the opponent down over the leg. Here it is again. Penetrate towards the opponent's eyes, wrap up the opponent's arms, press points on the opponent's back, send him over the leg. Here it is from the side. Penetrate towards the opponent's eyes. The opponent will naturally deflect the blow upwards. As the opponent naturally deflects the blow upwards to protect his eyes, the left hand comes up from underneath. Making use of the opponent's upward force, the left hand and right hand tie up the opponent's arms. The right hand brings the opponent's tangled arms downwards, while the left hand goes to the back to press points. The opponent is sent down over the left leg. Meet the opponent's attack. Penetrate towards the eyes. Entangle the opponent's arms. Press points on his back. Push the opponent over the leg. Here it is again. Push down, reverse up to the face, twist the arm, push down the opponent. Here it is from the side. Meet the opponent's hand. Push down the opponent's attack. This will give room to come back to the face. Reversing back to the face, the opponent's arms come up to protect himself. The left hand comes up to join the right hand, grasping the opponent's forearms. The left foot steps behind the opponent, and the hands twist the opponent's forearm, pushing him over the leg. Meet and press down on the opponent's arms. Reverse up to the face. Entrap the arms, step forward, and trip the opponent. Here it is again. Penetrate, poke, grasp the head, flip the opponent. Here it is from the side. Penetrate the opponent's attack. Strike points on the near side of the head. As the opponent raises his hands to protect the left side of the head, the arm swivels at the elbow and strikes points on the right side or far side of the head. The right hand wraps around the head and pulls down, while the left hand scoops the crotch. Step through with the left leg and throw the opponent. Penetrate the opponent's attack, strike points on both sides of the face, grasp the head, scoop the crotch, and flip the opponent. Here it is again. Drill towards the face to distract the opponent, then step in and knock the opponent over. Here it is from the side. Meeting the opponent's attack, drill towards his face. Taking advantage of the opponent's natural reaction to protect the face, raise the opponent's arm high to make room to go in low. Strike the opponent's body with the shoulder while stepping behind with the left foot. The opponent is then sprawling over the left leg. Meet the opponent's attack with a drill to the face. Guide the opponent's arm up, then enter in low, striking the opponent's body with the shoulder, knocking him over the leg. Here it is again. Meet the opponent's attack, wrap around the opponent's arm, yank the opponent down. Here it is from the side. Meet the opponent's hand. The left hand wraps around the opponent's arm and the right hand comes up. The right arm wraps around the opponent's arm, comes up beneath the armpit and up and over the back. Coming in tight, the right hand grasps the eyebrow and the forehead. The right leg steps behind the opponent and the opponent is yanked backwards over the leg. Meet the opponent's attack. Both hands wrap around the opponent's arm. The right hand reaches the forehead and yanks the opponent back. Here it is again. Meet the opponent's attack, wrap the arms around the trunk and the head of the opponent, send the opponent down. Here it is from the side. Meet and guide the opponent's attack upwards. When the opponent tries to bring his hand down, the left hand suddenly pulls down hard and the right hand comes up and over. The right hand wraps around the arm and comes up the back. The left hand wraps around the back of the head. Binding the opponent tightly, the right foot steps in front of the opponent. The opponent is flipped over the hips and right leg. Meet and guide the opponent's attack up. The right hand wraps around the opponent's body, the left hand wraps around the head. Step through and flip the opponent down. Here it is again. Meet the opponent's attack. Twist the arm and bring the opponent to the floor. Here it is from the side. Meet the opponent's hand. The right hand rotates to grasp the forearm and the left hand comes up to grasp the elbow. Step through with the left leg and torque the joints of the arm. Pull the hips back to pull the opponent off balance. Arm extended and joints torqued. The opponent is pinned to the floor. Meet the opponent's attack. Twist the wrist and the elbow. Pull back and bring the opponent to the floor. Here it is again. Coil around and strip out the opponent's arm. The left leg steps through. Here it is from the side. The left hand meets the opponent's attack. The right hand comes up to grab the wrist. The left hand rolls over to grab the wrist. The right hand grasps the forearm. The opponent's arm is arced down and out. The left leg steps behind the opponent, the left shoulder strikes the opponent, the right hand pulls the opponent's arm down. The opponent is sent to the floor. Meet the opponent's arm and arc it down and around. Step behind the opponent and send the opponent to the floor. Here it is again. Push down on the arm, step in with the shoulder, grasp the thigh. Meet the opponent's attack. Press down on the opponent's arm. Step through with the left leg. The shoulder strikes the opponent. The right leg comes into the left leg. The left hand slides down to grasp the thigh just above the knee. The left leg steps through beyond the opponent. Notice how his right hand has rolled over and is now grasping the forearm and elbow. The force of the shoulder, along with the pulling of the arm and the grasping of the thigh, knocks the opponent over the leg. Push down on the opponent's arm, step through and strike with the shoulder. Grasp the thigh, the arm, step through again. Here it is again. Meet the arm, slide the elbow in, grasp the upper and lower arm. Meet and press the opponent's arm to the side. That will naturally cause the opponent to press back. Notice his left hand already coming up. With the opponent pressing back, the arm suddenly relaxes and the elbow comes underneath the opponent's arm and into the throat, chest, or crevice of the shoulder. With the elbow pressed in, the left hand slides up to the opponent's wrist and forearm. Notice how his hips have switched and the front leg has become the back leg and the back leg has become the front leg. With the elbow still pressed in, the right hand grasps above the elbow and with the left hand twists the opponent's arm. The left leg steps back to create a turning, twisting force. The hands continue to twist the opponent's arm while the right leg steps back through, flipping the opponent over. Push against the opponent's arm, slide the elbow in. Grasp the wrist, grasp the elbow, twist the arm, step back through, flip the opponent over. Here it is again. Meet the opponent's arm, strike with the back knee, step through. Meet the opponent's arm. Notice how his right foot has already opened to give room for his left leg to come through. The left leg steps through and the left knee strikes the opponent in the midriff. Notice how his right hand has pulled down the opponent's arm into the force of the knee. The left foot then steps through behind the opponent. Notice how his right hand is pushing the opponent's arm and his left forearm, elbow, and upper arm are pushing against the side of the opponent. The opponent is then sent sprawling over the left leg. Meet the opponent's arm. Step through and strike with the knee while pulling down the opponent's arm. Step through while pushing into the body. Here it is again. Press upon the opponent's hand. Step through. Slide the hip in. Flip the opponent over. Press down on the opponent's hand. Notice the left hand already coming up. Step through. The right hand is already rolled over to grasp the forearm, and the left hand has reached through to tie up the other arm and, if possible, reach the neck. The hip strikes the opponent. The hands pull down on their respective arms to pull the opponent off balance. The left foot steps through beyond the opponent. The opponent is flipped over the hip and thigh. Press upon the opponent's arm, step through, place the hip, tie up the opponent's arms, flip the opponent. Here it is again. Meet the opponent's hand. Roll the forearm, stab the face, step through, uproot the waist. Meet the opponent's hand. Roll the hand over and press down. The hand slides up and stabs the face. The foot steps through as the hand encircles the waist. The hand uproots the waist. Notice the placement of the hip and buttock, lifting the opponent off the ground. Meet the opponent's arm. The hand rolls over and presses down, then arcs up to stab the eyes. Grab the waist, step through, uproot the waist. Here it is again. Meet the opponent's arm, entrap the opponent's arms, push the opponent over the leg. Meet the opponent's arm. The right hand rolls over and pulls on the forearm and wrist. The left hand comes up and over the arm. The left arm sweeps over to entrap both arms of the opponent. The right hand reaches for the opponent's knee. The opponent, knees trapped, are pushed over the left knee with the left arm. The right hand rolls down, the left hand arcs over and entraps the opponent's arms, the left leg steps through, the opponent is knocked over the knee. Here it is again. Meet the opponent's hand. The hand rolls over and pulls down. Meet the opponent's hand. The left hand rolls over and grabs the arm above the wrist. And both hands pull against the elbow and shoulder joints of the opponent. Continuing the torquing against the joints, the feet step back to pull the opponent off his feet. Meet the opponent's arm, grasp the wrist, torque the arm, step back and pull the opponent off his feet. Here it is again. The right hand meets the opponent, the left hand grasps the wrist, the right hand grasps the elbow, the opponent is torqued to the floor. Meet the opponent's hand. The left hand comes up and grabs the back of the opponent's hand at the wrist, thumb down. The right hand slides down and grasps the outside of the opponent's elbow, thumb towards the opponent. The wrist joint is torqued to the outside, the elbow joint is torqued to the inside. Step back and across to create a circular motion while torquing the joints. The right foot steps back and the hips swivel to continue the circular motion and fully torque the joints. Meet the opponent's arm, left hand grasps the wrist, right hand grasps the elbow, the feet rotate around to bring the opponent to the floor. Here it is again.